Cal is 5-2. Virginia Tech is 2-5. One team's winning, the other just fired its coach. So why on earth are the Hokies favored by 4.5 points Friday night? Well, we're about to break it down for you right here. I'm your host, Nathan Johnston, alongside Brad Hopkins. It's time to break the huddle. Brad, the stage is set. 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN in Blacksburg, Virginia. We'll be covering this one on Friday night for Break the Huddle After Dark. But I guess the framing question for this matchup, Brad, is Vegas crazy, or do they know something that we don't?
That's the question. I know we were texting about the line on this one, and just blows my mind. And that's, no disrespect to Virginia Tech, but we're talking about a team that they've been a month without their head coach. Yeah. They're very inconsistent, and I know Cal is not a powerhouse, but they have a much better record, and so I'm surprised by the line, but I guess we're going to get another interesting Friday night game.
Yeah, you got to think that home field advantage and having to travel across the country has something to do with this. Cal coming off of a very close win versus UNC. Now they've got a short week ahead of them, and now they've got to travel all the way to the East Coast. Surely that plays a factor into it. And then you throw in the fact that it's in Blacksburg, Virginia, of all places. We know how rowdy that stadium gets with Enter Sandman. And to be quite honest with you, Friday in October for Virginia Tech, I mean, that's prime time for those fans out there. They're going to be loud. They're going to be out there early. They're going to be ready for that cold weather. It's going to be a great matchup.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the statistical matchup in this game Friday night. Obviously, you got the team totals. Total offense for Cal averaging 343 yards. They're ranked 105th. Virginia Tech, surprisingly, at 359 yards per game. Granted, you could look at the schedule difference, but they are holding their own. Defensively, though, both teams giving up a staggering over 300 yards of offense from the other team. And then the points scored, they're pretty even. They're both averaging around 23 points a game, and points allowed. Virginia Tech slightly worse, giving up about 30 points per game. Curious to see how that plays out. You look at the quarterback comparison. We've talked about this off camera. I'll turn it over to you. Cal's quarterback, and we're just going to call him Jaron S. because I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. He cooled off a little bit. 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in his last 4 games. And this is a guy in the first 2 games, I remember people were like, oh my gosh, this guy's the next whoever. He's going to get a huge NIL deal somewhere else. And now he's kind of taking the back seat. Kyron Drones, on the other hand, trending up, 7 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions since the coaching switch. Maybe that's made a difference. Maybe he's kind of let it loose like UCLA has. Is that going to be a factor? My question to you is, who do you see being the better quarterback in this matchup?
I'm going to call him
JKS.
Just so we don't get any viewers saying we can't pronounce his name, which is true. But yeah, it seems like he's hit a little bit of a freshman wall. You mentioned the really, really hot start that he had, and has definitely cooled off. And Nate, this is an interesting one because you mentioned traveling cross country. Virginia Tech struggling, but it's still going to be a rowdy crowd. And then Kyron Drones, mentioned the statistics there since the coaching change. His offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery has taken on interim head coaching duties. This is going to be a fascinating one. I do think the where Drones has a little bit of a leg up is his rushing ability.
Yeah.
I still like Jaron. I think he brings a lot to the table. I think he brings a big arm. At some point, that light switch is going to flick on again, and he's going to be tough to deal with. And against the Hokies defense that I think is not very good, I think Friday night could be his chance to remind everyone why he was so highly rated and why he is that talented.
Well, I got this much to say from the perspective of this game. I don't usually say this. The crowd is going to play a factor in this one. And the reason I say that is because I'm talking to you, Virginia Tech fans. You got to come out for this one. You got to give your defense the ability to have Cal's offense get behind the sticks.
Yeah.
If you get a false start penalty early because of the crowd noise, listen, that gives your defense the chance to maybe step up a little bit with more confidence and make a play, as opposed to they're just running it time after time. You got to get them behind the sticks. And I think in this case, the crowd's going to be the reason why they do it. We do know that Cal has the better defense, though. You mentioned it.
Yeah.
Defense travels. You expect Cal's defense to show up in this one. Virginia Tech, more balanced run game. 159 yards versus Cal's 95. California has more of that West Coast style offense. They like to be the gunslingers. Then you have Cal's red zone offense versus Virginia Tech's red zone defense, 100% allowed. Who do you think like has the better defense in this one?
I mean, I think it's Cal hands down. Justin Wilcox is a excuse me, he's a defensive minded head coach. Once again, the stats are not great, but I just plain and simple, I think Cal has got the better defense. You mentioned it travels. I think that's going to play into a factor. And look, Virginia Tech has improved on offense. It's not been a huge improvement. I think this is a really good chance for Cal just to get a lot of confidence and just to, get back to, we got to remember, they're a win here Friday night. They're bowl eligible. I'm not saying Virginia Tech doesn't have things to play for, but to me, Cal has a lot to play for and a lot more to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think both teams have something to play for, right? The Virginia Tech wants to finish the year strong. Those guys went there to play football, and they're seniors in their last year of football. They're not going to just go out there and lay an egg. They're going to go out there swinging and fighting. I think the few things that you got to look out for: number one, the psychology of perception. Bettors remember Cal's lucky finishes and quarterback regression over their 5-2 record. I think some people get caught up in that 5-2 record and say, okay, they're automatically the better team. That's not always the case. I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm just saying that's something to keep an eye on as we go into this game, as Virginia Tech has the 4.5-point favorite. Motivation. The Hokies have a prove-it home game after a bye week. So they've had a week to adjust, right? They've had an extra week to say, okay, this is our new coaching staff. These are our players. This is what we got. How are we going to finish out the season? Are we going to lay an egg, or are we going to go out there and take pride in being a Hokie and take pride for this university and this town up in Blacksburg, Virginia? That's going to be the question mark that gets answered on Friday night in Lane Stadium, which I still think carries a lot of weight. Yeah. Listen, I've seen that stadium, not in person. It's definitely on my bucket list. Break the Huddle would love to do a live show in Blacksburg, Virginia. And then the health and availability. Bye week may return some key Virginia Tech starters that we haven't seen in a couple weeks. Cal's depth has been thin after a long travel stretch. That could play a part in it too. And I think that brings us to our prediction. Brad, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know it's kind of a Friday night game, not a lot of eyes on it. We'll have eyes on it for Break the Huddle After Dark as we continue our Friday night show. Be sure to tune in live for that. It'd be great. Love to hear your interaction and your thoughts on the game as we're commentating on it live. But Brad, who do you have coming out in this one?
Keep it very, very short and sweet. ACC Showdown, which is still weird to say with Cal and Virginia Tech, but I think JKS gets back. I think he picks up a lot of confidence this week. I think he throws a couple of touchdowns. Give me the Bears. I think they're the better team. I think they're playing with a lot of motivation. They want to be bowl eligible. Give me the Bears Friday night.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a whim here. I'm going to take the Hokies. I'm going to take Virginia Tech. It just feels like one of those Friday nights in October where they get it done in Blacksburg, Virginia. I think if this was at Cal, I think it'd be a no-brainer, right? But the fact that it's in Blacksburg, Virginia, and we really haven't seen JKS on the road in a hostile environment like Virginia Tech. We just haven't seen it yet. He's got to prove it to me first. Until he does that, give me the Virginia Tech Hokies. I think Kyron Drones is a very underrated quarterback. I think he's finding his stride. He's finding his confidence. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think both quarterbacks are going to play well. Give me the Virginia Tech Hokies to win 27-23 in a close one. Let us know your score prediction on this game, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for this Friday night Break the Huddle After Dark as we bring it to you live commentary and in-game analysis for the Cal Golden Bears versus the Virginia Tech Hokies. We'll see you Friday night. It's time to break the huddle.